Hello and welcome, everybody. Today, we are going to quickly be going over what backups are in relation to your business with servers and computers and all the other fun stuff. Before we get to that, obviously, Christmas sweater coming up on the holidays very soon. So I hope everybody has a great, happy holidays, New Year, and all that. But hope you found the information very informative today, I guess would be the best way to say that. But we'll go ahead and jump on in so we won't take up much of your time today. That way we can cover all the material. Not very high level stuff. We'll just be hitting the basis of it. That way we can hopefully learn a little bit together. So, what we are going to be looking at today are backups. What are they and why should your business care? So, I know you've probably heard of backups and what they are and everything like that. So, let's just jump into what the definition of backups are typically when we're talking about something for your business. And basically, it's a copy of your business data, files, databases, applications, system states, and more digital information that can be used to restore those items in the event of data loss. So, why should you care about those backups in your digital data? Well, there's a little blurb here on the screen, but I mean, more and more, every single business in America and around the world relies on some kind of digital data in order to operate. Some businesses are almost completely reliant upon it or heavily rely upon it. Let's just think about CPAs and accounting firms now. Most of that work, is digital now. There's still a lot of paper trail with it, things too, but you have to have the digital records with it as well. Healthcare, for example, is another one of those. So there's varying degrees of how reliant upon digital data you are, but it's almost impossible to have a business without some kind of digital data or anything that you must protect. And the big question there, what happens in the event that you actually lose that data or something like that happens? So, why do backups matter? 5 key reasons that backups matter are financial security, data protection, client or customer trust, business continuity, and legal compliance. So, with financial security, you're going to be minimizing the risk of financial loss, whether that's through productivity or other reasons. Data protection, it prevents you from permanently losing that data and not being able to recover it. Client trust, clients who are giving you their personal information or private information are going to trust in you more if they know that you are safeguarding it and also if you're able to recover it in the event of something terrible happens. Business continuity. So this is one that a lot of people don't think about though, is if all your data goes away, it blows up, you can't get a hold of it, but you do have a backup. How quickly can you get that restored and how quickly can you get operations back up and running? Time is money. So every second that ticks by that you're not actually up and operating is more money that your business is losing. And then finally, legal compliance. I know a lot of business industries out there don't actually get into this or don't think they should, but more and more we are governed by compliance and laws and regulations that we need to have. Medical people, HIPAA, you got to stay by HIPAA. There's more and more out there, CMMC, PCI for payments and all those things. There's a lot of compliance and things that we have to be actually adhering to. And more, you're starting to see it more strictly because of your business insurance. Business insurance are raising the bar for what they actually require of you that you actually have to adhere to in the event of you lose your data or you have a cyber attack or something of that nature. So, what's our top causes of data loss? So, since 2020, the 5 main causes of data loss, and there are more, and these are a little nuanced, software corruption or software errors. If you work with computers, you know as well as I do, sometimes they do not do what you tell them to do, and things just happen, and poof, things will be gone. The next one's cyber attacks and malware. More now than ever, people are constantly trying to get into your data or anyone's data. In fact, you may have seen here lately that the CIA and FBI both have been advising people not to be using good old regular SMS text messaging because most of the major networks, their SMS messaging systems have been breached in some form or fashion, and that you should be using some kind of encrypted messaging service. So cyber attacks are still happening. They're going to keep happening. It's not going away. Hardware failures. We all know those. Sometimes computer kicks the bucket, laptop kicks the bucket, whether that's through just old age or you drop it or someone spills coffee on it, things happen. Natural disasters. So, a lot of us, especially in the Tennessee and Florida area, are still reeling from the hurricanes that just came through here recently. There's people in Florida, but even from ones further back. But if you don't have your data protected or backed up, a natural disaster can wipe all that out as well. And then human error. Think you're hitting that insert button? Nope, that was the delete button. All your data is poof, gone, bye, see you later, not getting it back. So, just to jump into this, one of the big questions that we have when it comes to backups is server versus computer backups. So, at a base level, they are the same backup system that you're looking at. What you have to decide as a business is what's more important for you to back up and which one or both should you be backing up. Typically, backup solutions around servers are a lot more robust because typical businesses will store their most critical and sensitive data on servers. That way it's more protected because servers usually have a longer lifespan and the hardware usually keeps up to snuff longer. That way you don't have to worry about it, and usually they just take more of a beating, more to say as far as they're working and stuff. But you may hear others words when it comes around backup, such as like RAID or NAS or anything like that. That are just different types or methods that you look into when it comes to server backups and even on some cases computer backups. Personal computers, your work computer, your desktop station, those are typically going to be backed up when you're actually working on files locally on your computer. For most compliance and security regulations, most of the time, if you're interacting with any kind of sensitive data, you're actually accessing it through a server anyhow, so it wouldn't be stored locally on your computer. But every now and then, you may be a small business that you have one computer that handles your QuickBooks and all your financial records. Then you would absolutely want to have that computer completely backed up. There are a lot more different methods of backups that we can do for servers and that most vendors will do for servers, whether it's local, cloud, multiple redundancies, files, full image, everything like that. Typically, when it comes to personal computers or your desktop stations, usually you only are looking at two, and that's a full image backup. So basically, we're taking a full snapshot of that computer, or a file backup where you will specify a certain folder or a couple of folders on your computer that will continually be backed up. So I know I spoke in circles a lot there. To sum it up and make it really easy, servers typically have more critical data, so there are more robust and larger and more intense versions of backups that are done for servers. Typically, computers typically come down to we're backing up the entire computer or just a couple of folders that you want to keep safe there. So, what is the impact that you would see in an event of data loss? Let's say you had a fire, a lot of stuff went out, lost all that, or even let's go with the more realistic one that most people are going to see. Someone in your business clicks on an email that they shouldn't. Your systems get infiltrated by hackers and they take away all your files. So the five things that you usually see, and they are circular in what happens here, is business disruption. You can't get into the data that you need in order to operate your business. Financial loss. This hits you two different ways. Back with the lost time part as well. One, you're going to lose money because of productivity and people aren't able to work. You're also looking at the recovery cost of getting everything back up and running while you were down, and possibly fines depending on what kind of data loss it was. So the one that this is important for, and why it's also important to have security to help protect things and make sure things are encrypted as well. If you deal with any kind of personal information, those are automatic fines that hit you once they are reported. So when you look into that, healthcare information, personal information, there are fines that have to be paid for those. Another one is reputation damage, loss of client trust and confidence. I'm a big video game person, and one that constantly gets brought up all the time. Sony PlayStation had one of the first big cyber leaks slash hacks that happened when it came to gaming. They are still building back up their reputation from that. Some say it's warranted, some are not, but because they were one of the first big ones that it happened to, they are still trying to recover from that reputation damage. And this was years upon years ago. We're on the PlayStation 5, on the doorsteps of almost the PlayStation 6, and this happened right at the beginning of the PlayStation 3 era. So Those consoles usually last about 4 or 5 years each. So another one, back on the fines and costs, legal issues. So depending on what kind of data was lost, you may be opening yourself up to lawsuits because of compliance and breaches or any of those other standards that you have to look into. And then of course, just the flat out lost time. If you can't be operating your business and working, you're going to be losing your productivity and the recovery time on that as well. So, what are some good key pieces for reliable backups, and how do you know that your IT or whoever's handling your backups is doing what they're supposed to be doing? One, there should always be regular backups. Once a month ain't cutting it. Should be every day or at least every week, depending on what kind of system it is or what kind of cost you're looking at. Multiple backup times. You've heard me say redundancy a few times on this. So, the minimum redundancy that most people say is you need to do a local backup and a cloud backup. Sometimes even that's not enough. You want to have multiple local, multiple cloud, and then sometimes something else. So there's a bunch of different things there that you can get into for those. But you want to have those multiple ones, one for both safety, you have multiple copies of it in case one doesn't work or you can't access one, and then also speed. While cloud is wonderful in a way everywhere else, nothing is going to be faster than you having a local copy there on site that you can restore in the event of a computer went down or a server broke or something like that. If we have that locally, it's a lot easier to bring that back up. So what should your IT team be doing with said backups? Should be verifying and testing those backups regularly to make sure that they are actually backing up properly and actually they are able to be restored properly. Can't tell you the amount of times that we have seen from other teams where a backup needs to be restored that has been stored for a while and it's not actually able to be restored because things weren't updated properly or they were never tested or set up correctly from the beginning. And then another one, just like we talked about with the SMS text messages, encryption. You're going to hear the word encryption a lot going into the year 2025. You want to make sure that not only are those backup files themselves actually encrypted, but also the transfer methods are as well. So if it's going to a cloud backup, we want to make sure that the highway between your server and the cloud server is actually encrypted the long way. That way you don't have third parties looking in and stealing pieces as they go. So that, for the most part, that's going to sum up a lot of what we were going to cover today. I did want to hit one question that I actually had sent to me ahead of time when we actually were saying that we were going over backups. And that question is, I'll just use OneDrive or Google Drive if I have it. I already have access to it, so why shouldn't I use that? Google Drive, OneDrive on the base level, not the paid business version of it, but at the base level is a wonderful, wonderful tool for syncing files across multiple locations, but is a method of backup severely limited in many of these reasons that you see on the screen right now. There are syncing issues, there are storage limits, the security as far as what your business insurance or compliance may want to look at would be very iffy on whether that would be good to go into or not. The recovery limitations. Typically, any time that you have to download more than one file from OneDrive or Google Drive or something of that nature, it is going to first require the cloud drive to actually zip that up into a zip file. That takes time. You download it, then you have to unzip it. And then on top of this, something that they don't do that your more robust backup solutions do is the location of where those files should be actually put. If you're just dumping a backup of your computer on there and all your files, it just dumps them on there. It does not retain your folder structure or anything like that that your programs and applications may require to actually operate the way that they need to be. If it's basic documents and files, then yeah, you might be able to get by with it, but you got to remember those syncing issues are still there. It's not really good to work in live time, stuff like that. If you're looking at something like that, you want to make sure you are paying for the business version of OneDrive and Google Drive. And even then, that is still not a full replacement for your server or computer backups. You need to have something that is going to be way more robust and actually take care of you in those situations. So as far as we go for today, that is pretty much covering all the information for our server backups and computer backups for your business. Like we said, Christmas is upon us, and I always like to give a little bit of tip out to everybody around this time of year of some kind of present that you can give for someone that's hard to shop for, or if you just can't figure out something to give to someone, cutting it close. I don't think it would come in time, but this is one of the ones I decided to give out to people this year. This is from a YouTube channel called Adventures with Purpose, and they're a great bunch of people who go out and try to find lost cars or missing people who may have been underwater or anything like that. So they started selling these to raise money for it, and it's also a great tool to have in your car that has a window puncher on it to help you escape in the event that you can't get out of your car, and also has one of the lovely seatbelt cutters on it as well. You always want to have a backup plan. Of course, we can always call 911 and have them come give us, but you want to have something that you can help do things for yourself. And actually, these are used more not underwater, but in the event that your car catches on fire, because a lot of times your seatbelts and stuff lock in place and will let you out. So, Adventures with Purpose 2-in-1 window breaker tool. It's a good little tip to have for the holidays. I hope everybody has a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and New Year's. And we will see everybody after the new year. Thank you for watching. And as always, if y'all have any questions, comments, or anything, give us a call. Visit us at techeagles.com or shoot us an email or drop one in the comments here, and we will be more than happy to answer those for you. So you all have a great day. Thank you.